I gotta unzoom. All right, layers of Earth. There's really three main layers. When I found this little Venn diagram, it separated into four, so already you have to change your notes a little if you're watching the diagram. What are the three main layers? Atmosphere, and if it actually links starting at the top, and then I think the second layer is to the right. What?
Geosphere.
Geosphere, obviously you're seeing the answers, guys. And geosphere, the lithosphere is within the geosphere, so don't add that as a fourth layer. If you're following the PowerPoint, somewhere in your notes you have to say that the lithosphere is within the geosphere. They all connect. So if you look at me, and obviously you can't see this in the video, but if I'm standing, where am I standing on?
Geosphere.
The geosphere. And I'm really standing on the lithosphere within the geosphere, and we're going to learn that in a minute. But I'm also where?
In the lithosphere.
In the atmosphere. Because as soon as you get off the ground, you're in the atmosphere. And that's why the Venn diagram, because they're all connected. Now, any life found on any of these layers is called what?
Biosphere.
Biosphere. Good. Where life exists on any layer of Earth. And here's just another picture, hydrolitho. I mean, I'll tell you what, for 11 or 12 years, the lithosphere was of the three layers, it was atmo, litho, hydro, which made sense to me. Hydro, the word says water. Litho, L for land, and atmo, A for air. Then they made the geosphere, and lithosphere is within the geosphere, and more and more names. But geosphere actually makes a lot of sense too, because what's geo root word for? Geography. All right, here, look at this picture of Earth. You see the thin layer of the atmosphere on top of it? I always am amazed with pretty pictures of Earth and pretty pictures of atmosphere, because to me it's incredible that you have this thin layer that supports life and full of all these gases. So a thin layer of gas that surrounds Earth by definition. Okay. Another way of, obviously, spherical layer.
Is the Science National Honor Society this Tuesday?
Makeup meeting. Yep.
Oh, the makeup meeting is this Tuesday.
Correct. So what gas makes up the majority of this thin layer? Nitrogen. 78% approximately of the atmosphere is nitrogen. What is the other large percent? 21% oxygen. So that leaves us with practically nothing. These nothings are argon. Might come up on the AP exam. So I always put it there, and then it's only 0.8. And the rest are greenhouse gases. Those are the ones you want to become familiar with. It's not necessarily the only gases that exist. We're going to label greenhouse gases eventually. Who can name me one? Methane, carbon dioxide, nitrous oxide. What's the number one heat trapping gas? Nope. I know for years. That was the answer on the AP exam. It's water. It traps 100,000 times more heat than carbon dioxide. It's the most heat trapping, but that's another unit.
Water in the form of vapor?
Yeah. And really, like, you would think, why would that even be such a topic of concern when it lasts, what, 2 days before it condenses and comes back down? But if it's there at that particular moment, it's going to cause damage. Oh, and there's some gases. Carbon dioxide, water, methane, nitrous oxide. We're going to cover all the greenhouse gases. You have to become familiar with them a little. I'm going to reference them on the first test. Even though that's a whole unit. Okay.
Wait,
I mean test 2.
Oh, okay.
There is layers within the atmosphere. You have to know these layers. 1 year on the AP exam, the layers of the atmosphere came out, and there was 7 questions that followed. Okay, but I have an assignment for you. I promise you that assignment, the layers of the atmosphere will never leave here. I mean, I hope they will never leave there. So what are they?
Wait, I have a question.
Yeah.
When are we done the fish Olympics?
We're not.
Oh, we're not?
No,
Oh.
I know. But I'll give you some fish. How about that? As a compensation. All right. What is the bottom layer? Or does anybody know any layers?
Stratosphere.
Stratosphere. Everybody knows the stratosphere, and that's the second layer. Troposphere is first. The troposphere is the closest to land. So if you want to write all these notes, I have them there. Closest to land, it's where weather occurs, and it's where you find your greenhouse gases. And you can't see that because I'm covering it, right? Is that what it says there, Trevor? In your
It
PowerPoint?
says closest to land where weather occurs and greenhouse gases.
Okay, perfect.
It also says planes fly.
Oh yeah, I have an airplane. They're flying. You see it? Yeah. Second layer, as you guys all know, is the stratosphere. What's that little molecule I have floating around over there?
Ozone.
Ozone. Ozone is found in the stratosphere. You have to know that. You have to know that the troposphere is closest to land, weather occurs there. Everything I'm telling you will come up on the AP exam. The stratosphere, ozone makes up, hopefully, right, will continue to make up the majority of the stratosphere. What is ozone for you?
Oh, oxygen, green, right?
It's O3, write that down so you start becoming familiar with everything you have to know with its chemical, what do you call it? What do you call it when you, that has a name,
Is it
doesn't it?
chemical formula?
Chemical formula, okay, good. What is ozone? Layer.
Layer.
It's not really a layer of the of the atmosphere, it's a gas that is found within the stratosphere that does what? What is it like? It reflects UV rays, not necessarily reflects, but kind of breaks them up. So by the time they reach you, they're not as strong, okay? Without them, then UV rays come straight down. So I call it my sunblock, Earth sunblock, because that's what it does, blocks UV rays. Like you have to wear now protective clothing, protective eyewear, all UV protective stuff is because there's a hole of ozone in the atmosphere. Mesosphere is the third layer. Anybody know what the mesosphere is like? What do you have to know about the meso? It's cold because it's right there in the notes, right? Coldest layer. Thermosphere.
It's also the biggest.
It's also the biggest. Look at the picture because it kind of guides you. Do you see that? The picture, wherever the white blocks are, shows you how much area.
Is there a layer below it or above it?
Above it. So you have the troposphere. You see where planes are flying? That's still the troposphere.
Okay.
Then you start the stratosphere. And ozone is found within the stratosphere. And then you have mesosphere, and that is all the mesosphere.
Where,
And it's the coldest layer, even though I have the word under it, it's really above it, right?
where did the Baumgartner guy jump from? Like which layer?
Oh yeah, I saw that. Therm is for hot. It's the hottest layer. And then, I don't think it's on here. Let me see. Oh yes. Above the thermosphere is the ionosphere or exosphere. It could come out as either or on your exam. It's full of ions.
Wait, the ionosphere, what was the other name?
Exosphere.
Which one? EXO.
EXO, correct. Sphere.
That's the last one, right?
Yep, and I think that's all I have for that. So we pause.